Well, now that the 2021 draft class has finally had its rookie year, how have a lot of these prospects shaped up?
In the 2021 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select
The deep 2021 NFL Draft produced a lot of surprise standouts, as well as several disappointments who simply did not live up to the high expectations that were placed on them in year one. There's still time for some of them who struggled in year one to bounce back, and it's also possible that some of last year's top rookies completely drop off. But at the moment, here's a dive into 5 rookies from 2021 who are already looking like steals, and 5 who are looking like complete busts. Steal. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Wide receiver looked like the Detroit Lions' main weakness heading into the 2021 season. Kenny Golladay left in free agency, and the Lions addressed other needs with their early round selections. Little did they know that they quietly landed a future star receiver in round 4, when GM Brad Holmes drafted USC product Amon-Ra St. Brown with the 112th selection. St. Brown wasn't awfully productive in the first half of the season, but he really turned it on down the stretch, along with the rest of the Lions football team. He emerged as Jared Goff's go-to weapon late in the year, finishing with 5 touchdowns over the final 6 games. St. Brown notched at least 8 receptions and over 70 receiving yards, including 4 outings of 90-plus yards over Detroit's final 6 games. He finished his rookie year with 90 catches for 912 yards and 5 touchdowns. And to think, that was only year 1 for St. Brown. Bust. Zack Wilson. Again, it is way too early, and Wilson could easily cause this to age worse than milk. But it's also fair to say that the New York Jets expected much better from the BYU product as a rookie. The Jets loved Wilson enough to trade away Sam Darnold, the number 3 selection of 2018, to the Carolina Panthers, just to make room for the new QB. Wilson was drafted 2nd overall behind Trevor Lawrence. The Jets were finally convinced that Wilson would be the franchise QB that they've been looking for all these years. But he sure left a lot to be desired in 2021. In 13 games, Wilson completed a mere 55.6% of his passes for 2,334 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 11 picks. The Jets lost 10 of Wilson's 13 starts. He was also sacked 44 times and fumbled on 5 occasions. For the Jets, it had to hurt to see the arch-rival New England Patriots get much better play out of fellow rookie Mac Jones, who fell to them in the 15th spot. Wilson has plenty of time to figure this out, of course. The Jets will look to improve the supporting cast around him over time, and head coach Robert Saleh will find better ways to help his young quarterback succeed. But we won't blame any diehard Jets fans for being a little concerned with Wilson after year 1. It was certainly not the best first impression after all. Steal. Trey Smith. Kansas City Chiefs GM Brett Veach went to great lengths to repair an O-line that got wrecked over and over again in their Super Bowl 55 blowout loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The first order of business was signing New England Patriots standout guard Joe Toney. Then they completed a trade for Baltimore Ravens Pro Bowl offensive tackle Orlando Brown Jr. In round 2, the Chiefs drafted Oklahoma center Creed Humphrey, who wound up being one of the most impactful rookies of the 2021 season. It was already quite the overhaul. But the Chiefs were not done there. KC also drafted Tennessee guard Trey Smith in the 6th round at number 226 overall. It wasn't a noteworthy move at the time, but Smith did not take long to become a household name. Smith struggled with penalties, committing 9 altogether, but he only allowed 4 sacks on 1,194 snaps per Pro Football Focus. He finished with a stellar PFF grade of 72.4 on the year, and Smith was subsequently named to the PFWA All-Rookie team alongside Humphrey. Not bad at all for a 6th round draft pick. Bust. Zaven Collins. It was curious to see the Arizona Cardinals draft Tulsa linebacker Zaven Collins with the number 16 selection. They had used their 2020 first rounder on Asai Simmons, and linebacker just really wasn't a position of need. Cliff Kingsbury's inability to properly utilize Simmons as a rookie was also alarming. Well, lo and behold, the same thing happened here with Collins. Collins only started 6 games, and he played a surprisingly low 20% of the team's defensive snaps, which explains why his stat line wasn't even remotely eye-popping. But the thing is, how is Collins supposed to shine when you're barely putting him on the field? And more importantly, why would you waste a high draft pick on a guy that you're clearly not planning to use too often? If Collins and Simmons end up becoming the stars that many of us had envisioned, then the Redbirds could have had the NFL's next great linebacker duo. But that was one forgettable year for Collins, and if he doesn't progress in 2022, Kingsbury and GM Steve Keim could end up paying for this mistake with their jobs. So yeah, no pressure at all, guys. Steal. Ramondre Stevenson. Running back wasn't exactly a position of need for the New England Patriots heading into the draft. They already had Damian Harris and James White in the fold. But Bill Belichick knows value when he sees it. And so the Patriots were pleased to use a 4th-round selection, 120 overall, on bruising running back Ramondre Stevenson. Because the Patriots had made several notable offseason additions, including Matt Judon, Nelson Aguilar, Hunter Henry, Mac Jones, and Christian Barmore, it was easy to overlook the Stevenson selection. But folks, haven't you learned by now that Belichick is the expert of turning little-known running backs into total game changers? Such was the case with Stevenson, who formed an explosive 1-2 punch at running back with Harris. Stevenson rushed for 606 yards and 5 touchdowns in 12 games, and he finished with 50.5 rushing yards per game and an average of 4.6 yards per carry. The Stevenson-Harris rushing duo fronted New England's rebuilt offense, and the result was a 10-win season and a wildcard berth. The Patriots have no reason to cut back on Harris's workload in 2022. But when you look at what Stevenson can do with the football, it's not crazy to envision him as a capable 1,000-yard back if he got the proper amount of carries. Bust. Jamin Davis. Washington had the 4th best scoring defense and the number 2 total defense in 2020, so it was kind of surprising to see them go with a linebacker at number 19 overall. The front 7 was already a strength in DC. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Darren Payne, and Jonathan Allen led an explosive group that guided the team to an NFC East Division title. Unlike the aforementioned Zaven Collins, Davis actually got a decent amount of playing time. The Kentucky standout started 8 games and played 56% of the team's defensive snaps, but he was often a massive liability on the field. Davis had just 1 sack and didn't force a single turnover. He was exposed time and time again in coverage too. According to Pro Football Reference, Davis allowed 36 of 42 passes to be completed against him for 328 yards and a touchdown. Davis had just 5 pressures, and he had a missed tackle percentage of 12.6%. Furthermore, the Commanders' linebacker had a woeful 46.8 grade at Pro Football Focus, meaning the first-rounder was a below-average player. Yikes! Ron Rivera and company have no choice but to hope that Davis will put that tough rookie season behind him and learn from it. Washington has moved on from several defensive starters this offseason, so the door is open for Davis to step up and earn more playing time. Steal. Nate Hobbs. Fixing a terrible defense was the top priority for the Las Vegas Raiders last year. Signing Yannick Ngakoue in free agency was a nice start, but more was certainly necessary. Vegas got a steal when TCU safety Trayvon Merrick, widely expected to be a first-round selection, fell to them in round 2 at number 43 overall. Merrick fared well in year 1 with the Raiders, but he wasn't even the team's most impactful rookie. Instead, that would be Illinois cornerback Nate Hobbs. Vegas drafted him in the 5th round at 167 overall, and Hobbs turned out to be the reliable shutdown corner that 2020 first-rounder Damon Arnett failed to be. The Raiders' defense improved considerably under interim head coach Rich Bisaccia and new DC Gus Bradley. Hobbs was a key reason why, garnering a very solid 78.4 grade at Pro Football Focus, who ranked him as the 12th best rookie of 2021. Not only was he good in coverage, but Hobbs contributed in the run-stopping game and excelled as an occasional pass rusher. Hobbs had 1 sack, 3 QB knockdowns, and 5 pressures on 15 total blitz attempts. Hobbs' efforts helped the Raiders end a 5-year playoff drought. They snagged a wildcard spot on the final day of the regular season, which was impressive given all the off-the-field issues and controversies that surrounded this team. Hobbs and Merrick give Raiders Nation a lot to get excited about on the defensive side of the ball over the long run. That's for sure. Bust. Cadarius Toney. It was a bit surprising to see the Giants use the number 20 selection on Florida receiver Cadarius Toney. They were already deep with offensive weapons, having added Kenny Golladay, John Ross, and Kyle Rudolph to complement Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard. So Toney was already in a tough situation to begin with. The Giants also had a horrible offensive line and a turnover-prone QB in Daniel Jones. And now their rookie wideout had a long depth chart to climb as well. The Giants were unable to get much of anything out of Toney as a rookie. The awful play calling from offensive coordinator Jason Garrett, who was fired midseason, certainly didn't help matters. Toney caught 39 passes for 420 yards and 0 touchdowns. In New York, only featured him as a starter in 4 contests. Hopefully, new head coach Brian Dable and OC Mike Kafka will find ways to get the ball into the hands of the shifty wideout. The talent is there, but is he really gonna get it done on that questionable Giants roster? It's not too early to say that 2022 is a very important year for Toney's future in the Meadowlands. Steal. Elijah Mitchell. The 49ers already had a deep running back room, but that didn't stop John Lynch from adding 2 more in the draft. He spent the number 88 selection on Ohio State product Trey Sermon and the 194th pick in the 6th round on Elijah Mitchell. Top running backs Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson missed 16 and 8 games respectively. Those injuries forced San Fran to lean on the rookie tandem of Sermon and Mitchell, and even do-it-all receiver Deebo Samuel. Needless to say, all 3 men were up for the challenge. But it was Mitchell who finished the season as the 49ers' top running back. In 11 games, he posted 963 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Mitchell averaged 4.7 yards per carry, and only 4 running backs averaged more rushing yards per contest than him. He finished 8th in rushing despite not playing 6 games. We know that Kyle Shanahan loves to use multiple running backs as opposed to rolling with a bell cow. But if he gives Mitchell an increased role, he'll easily be looking at 1,000 yards on a yearly basis. It's kind of crazy to think that he was the 2nd running back taken by San Fran in the draft, and in the 6th round no less. Bust. Alex Leatherwood. While Hobbs and Merrick were nice finds, the Raiders really struck out with their 1st round pick when they used it on Alex Leatherwood, at least after 1 year. Many were stunned when the Raiders went off the board by taking the Alabama offensive lineman at number 17 overall. Folks were still trying to get over John Gruden's baffling decision to move on from 3 veteran offensive linemen in Trent Brown, Rodney Hudson, and Gabe Jackson last offseason. And, as expected, it was a very rough year for Leatherwood, even though the Raiders were a surprise playoff team. Pro Football Focus graded him at a woeful 45.0 on the year. He took 14 penalties and allowed a whopping 8 sacks on 1,104 offensive snaps per PFF. Now, to Leatherwood's credit, he got better after the Raiders moved him to guard. But seeing how many big-name talents Vegas passed on to get Leatherwood, they'll need to develop him into a consistent Pro Bowler in order to justify that pick. A full season at guard could help Leatherwood grow into a star, but you can't be too confident in that happening after a pretty disastrous rookie year. But who do you think was the biggest steal and the biggest bust of the 2021 NFL Draft? Join us in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.